Before we dive into the proven strategies for maximizing your earnings with Google AdSense, there are a few things that you need to know when setting up your website and integrating Google AdSense. For starters, it's important that you take the time to read over Google's policies and terms of use. The last thing you want to do is unintentionally break their terms and forfeit your AdSense earnings. For the most part, Google offers quite a bit of flexibility in terms of how you can structure your advertisements and display the ad code. However, there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, there's no incentives. You're not allowed to direct your website visitors to click on your AdSense advertisements, nor are you permitted to force your visitors into clicking on your ads in order to gain access to additional content, resources, or giveaways. No modifications of the Google code are allowed. You are permitted to customize the color scheme of your AdSense advertisements as well as determine placement throughout your site. However, you're not allowed to make any modifications to Google's code. You must offer solid content. Advertisers pay top dollar for exposure within Google's advertising network, and because of this, Google reserves the right to terminate your account or remove any advertising on your website that appears from Google's advertising network. You need to focus on offering quality content on your site rather than building websites that are only focused on blasting AdSense advertising all over the place. And there's no self-clicking. You're not allowed to click on your own AdSense advertisements for obvious reasons. If you're caught doing this, you run the risk of losing your AdSense account altogether, as well as forfeiting all the earnings. Now that we have that out the way, let's dive into the fundamental strategies for maximizing your income using Google AdSense. When it comes to effective placement of your AdSense ads, optimizing your website for better AdSense targeting and customizing the color schemes so that they're more appealing to your website visitors are simple tweaks that alone can do wonders in maximizing your AdSense earnings. The first thing to consider is that AdSense allows only 3 ad units to appear on any given page, as well as 2 search boxes and up to 3 link units. This means that you need to focus on placing your advertisements in areas where they will receive the most exposure. Using this layout sketch provided by Google itself, you can see the areas of a typical website layout. The color codes represent the different performance of ads featured in these specific areas based on extensive research and case studies collected by Google. The light and dark orange areas represent the best placement for your AdSense ads, with the yellow color blocks being the second in terms of maximizing exposure and the white spaces representing low exposure areas. Remember, this is just an estimation of how your ads will perform based on different positionings. However, it's important that you consistently stay on top of how well your own ads are performing so that you can tweak or modify placement in order to maximize exposure and maximize your click-through rates. When it comes to selecting a color scheme for your AdSense advertising, you'll want to blend the advertisements into your existing website's theme. You don't want the ads to look like ads. You want people to feel that your advertisements are unobtrusive and don't take away from their experience when exploring the content of your site. Instead, focus on ensuring that your ads are integrated into the content itself and appear as part of the content. You can try the following color combinations. Closely match the background and border of the ad to the background of your page. Match the link color of the ad with the link color of your page. Or you can match the color of the ad text with the text color of your page. You want to give the illusion that the ad is not an ad at all, but part of your website. You get border choices with AdSense, but there are 2 styles that seem to work the best: borderless or rounded. Borderless works best when you're trying to integrate the ad into a website. If you want to have some sense of separation, then you can go with a rounded border. The sharp-edged, square-style borders don't tend to perform very well. You can also choose how many ads you want to run on each page. Google limits you to using 3. The number of units you use is completely a personal choice. Some people choose to maximize their abilities and use all three. Other people find that just one ad works just as well. You should experiment and see what number of ads work best with your website. It never hurts to give each option a try. When it comes to choosing ad block templates itself, Google provides you with many different formats, including a text-based ad blocks and various banner sizes. And you can review the different types of ads available at this URL here. It's quite a long one, so if you just do a search in Google for AdSense ad formats, you'll be pointed to this particular page. Okay, let's take a closer look at each style so that we can determine what will work best for your niche and website theme. And the first one is the text-based leaderboard in 728 by 90. This one here. And this is by far the best performing ad on the majority of my websites. It's a larger ad that will generate exposure and can be placed under the header of your website or above and below content so that it stands out to those reading your material. Let's clear that. Now, leaderboards work best when they are placed in the upper area of your website's theme rather than in the footer area where they're going to generate less exposure. There are various sizes of text blocks available as shown on the Google sample page here, and depending on your website's layout and template setup, you'll be able to integrate a number of these ad blocks into your sidebar columns and within the content itself. These type of ad blocks work best in smaller areas. However, there is one ad in particular that I avoid altogether, and that is this one, the 468 by 60 banner. And the reason is simple: this ad block looks like an ad. After all, the traditional ad size of a banner is 486 by 60, and it's still widely used today. And when people see it, they quickly identify it as an ad, which will decrease the chances that they're going to click on it. Regardless of the ad blocks you choose to use, you should also take things one step further and test out using borders versus no borders. With borders, your ads can appear exactly as that, ads, which for the most part your visitors are going to ignore. By using no borders on my AdSense based websites, I've managed to minimize the look and feel of ads, and I can blend the AdSense ads into my website so that they appear to be directly connected to my content and thus increase my click-through rates. I've also thoroughly tested all the different ad blocks and have found that regardless of my website layout or overall topic, this size here, the 338 by 280 ad block, large rectangle, always perform the best. Now, the reason for this is simply because by adding it into the side column of your website and by taking away the border, you can make it appear to be part of your navigation menu, and that increases the chances of your visitors clicking on it or clicking on the links that are featured in it. The medium rectangle, the 300 by 250, this one here, also works well in sites that aren't able to accommodate the larger 336 by 280 size. Again, it works best above the content or aligned to the left with the text wrapped around it. This one here, the 250 by 250 square, that can work well as well if you have a website that doesn't have enough space to accommodate either of the two rectangles. The more you test and tweak all of the elements associated to your AdSense advertising, including the color schemes, the placements, the channels, and so on, the better your campaigns are going to do. Don't just set up your website pages then just leave them running on their own. You need to take aggressive steps and an aggressive approach to maximizing your AdSense earnings by split testing different positions. You want to tweak the color schemes and even incorporate different keyword phrases into your actual content to increase the relevancy of the featured ads. Okay, in the next video I'll talk you through what you need to do to maximize your AdSense earnings.